I've been riding on the edge, I don't fall. Stream lab, every clip going gold. Mine shot like a blade in the snow. Name ring out, they for that storm mode. Now Mikaze, I'll move how the wind blows.
How's it going, everyone? We are back. Told y'all I got another video for you guys. I know it's been months. The last video's been in May. My apologies. Been busy streaming great games, you know, Expedition 33, arguably probably the game of the year this year. I'm playing some Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, some South of Midnight. So I've been playing a lot of games, a lot of betas, and finally our daily driver is here, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. And we got a special guest with us today, none other than Captain Crash Out himself, Mr. CalebBlackFlash. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. That's your new daily driver? You remember Speedstorm?
Nah, man, you didn't hear. I retired.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, man, I gave back the keys to Game Loft. I said, here, take them. You know, Sega gave me those new keys. I was like, can't look back now.
I got a new game that treat me right.
As I kept saying, it's like having an ex that couldn't cook and then meeting a girl that can cook. It's crazy.
I was like, oh, this just hit different. I gotta.
Yep. But no slander to any women out there in my past. No slander. Today I'm excited because, you know, we're collabing with our boy Caleb, but me and Caleb actually share like the same kind of ideals in terms of the racing genre, and in terms of Sonic Racing Crossroads, me and Caleb are like sound mind, like we're lock in step. So today we're going to be talking about Sonic Racing Crossroads, and we wanted to share with you guys our time with the game and how we feel about the game so far. I mean, we're both legend status, so what we tell you is from experience. Not everyone can reach legend status, as you saw from the open network test. You know, Sega was kind enough to give us some stats, and I believe Caleb was like less than 1% hit legend.
Yeah, less than 1% during the network test. So I'm sure it's up now. The game out, I definitely see a lot more legend than I did in the network test, but yeah, it's still probably like a lower percentage.
It was crazy because when we looked at the stats, it was like, I think over 52% of the user base was like C rank and below. Like, that was eye-opening.
I think a lot of people took it casually, and then there was like a select few that kind of were trying to climb the leaderboard and grind for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
So
I know I tried my best. I had 2 days off. I was doing my best, and then I was working for the rest of the weekend. I was like, oh man. And I was like trying to balance spending time with my girl. I got to B rank. I was happy with that. I was like, you know what? When the game drops, I'll dedicate myself hitting legend on the day it comes out fully. And I did, which was nice. But I still see a lot of people struggling to climb. Why is that?
Oh, well, it's one, you know, it's not just an easy handout. I think because of the people who played the closed network test, the open network test, there were metas that kind of were getting established and people were understanding the gadgets. So like those players who didn't really play the network test, they just jumped on and they were put in lobbies with people who already had pre-built gadgets and stuff. So, you know, it's not easy getting a win out here. And on top of that, like there's been tournaments. The ranked has definitely got way more sweaty and more refined. And so, yeah, it's not as easy to, you know, consistently get the top positions anymore. Like it wasn't like the network test.
I definitely get that. I definitely hear what you're saying. Especially in terms of builds, guys, make sure you check out another video I got going on in terms of gadgets and different builds. Hey, we might even have Caleb back on for that one too. But now you're telling me through tournaments happening and now everyone kind of having access to the game, a lot of builds kind of aren't like that meta anymore, or not that viable in terms of ranked. So what are some of the builds that you've seen from the closed network test, the open network test, and the full release till now that have kind of paved the way for the ranked gameplay right now? And what builds don't you see anymore?
I think the build you see the most now are any variation of a build that allows you to get your level 1 or level 2 drift quicker, because that allows for you to zigzag or snake. They call it snaking, where you drift left and right, and you can kind of like farm boost over and over. Like that basically has, once people figured out that was a thing, I think in time trials, it's kind of found its way in ranked, and now there's some gadgets that that people put on all the time, which are basically the snaking gadgets. But some builds that didn't really make it into the full game were the crash pads and 200 rings and quick recovery. I think people were putting on quick recovery and crash pads, and it worked in like the closed and open network test, but like once the full game came out, people realized like it didn't really help them in races because they were still getting beat. Or like even if you do have the quick recovery on, if you're just getting spammed, it doesn't matter. People are gonna pass you. So they realize, they invest in some other gadgets. So I think the gadgets that have emerged since the full games came out is the level 4 invincibility. So if you want to front run, they, in combination with the quick drifts that allow you to get your zigzag drifts quicker, once you hit the level 4, you're invincible. So that kind of helps with the item span. And then for another strategy that's emerged is the smuggling builds that, the 3 gadget slots and being able to swap through your items, that's kind of emerged once the full game came out.
Yeah, I definitely, if you guys heard me on stream multiple times, I definitely called the level 4 invincibility the Silver Surfer, because it literally turns you silver, and if you're on the extreme gear, you look like the Silver Surfer. I definitely had some time to mess around with the inventory gadgets. I didn't like the fact that it wasn't base kit, that you could just swap your items. It didn't make sense to me because that was a feature that you had that was base game in All-Stars Transform. So that was kind of, confusing for me, but I kind of understood why they didn't, because that would kind of change like the landscape of competitive, because now you can kind of put thought behind your actions more. It's like, it's not random. Okay, I have a drill and I have a monster truck. I can only use the monster truck first and then wait to use a drill. So I have to spam to use the monster truck so I can get the drill quick enough so I can use the drill at the finish line. Whereas opposed to if you have swap base kit, you can just swap and use the drill, and then once you get up to the finish line, I can just monster truck my way to the podium. But I guess the developers kind of seen an issue early on and said, we could have this base kit, but it could cause some issues if people are really smart and are really competitive and they use that to their advantage, whereas the casuals, they're not going to think that. I definitely don't mind the smuggler build because it's there for a reason. Sega knows they want to have this game be very customizable. You see it in the garage, you see it in the various builds you can make with your racer or your extreme gear or your karts, and now they're doing it with the gadgets. They're taking it to another level. So they're trying to make this game as personable as possible. The way you want to race, the way you want to look, that's all up to you. So for them to add gadgets where, there might be people like Caleb or myself or Absent that are like, okay, let me try to smuggle the best items and then use them at the opportune time so I can get the best results. They put this in the game for a reason, for players like us who are very strategic and may not have the time to be like, yo, let me zigzag my way to the top. Because yeah, that's also a skill, but I also see smuggling items and using them at the right time as a skill. It's in Mario Kart, it's in Speedstorm, it's in various races that we played. So I don't see why a lot of people are taking shots at it. And apparently, from what you had told us on the podcast last week, some guys are calling you out on it. So speak on that, my guy.
I think it's just more so people making streams or stuff because they salty because I beat them with it and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's easy, I can do it. Try to do it, and then they can't do it as well. And then when they can't do it as well, they try to say, oh, well, it's boring. And they try to. So first, it's boring, but you're using it. You're trying to copy, the build that you say is boring. So I think it's just people who are trying to zigzag their way in the front, and then when they still get beat, they want to try to shit on the build, or they don't want to give you credit, so they try to tear down the build.
Yeah,
I think that's all that is. Because what I've seen from a lot of streamers, from people on these teams, competitive players, the ones that be talking about it, they literally have the build saved. So, it's bad, but yeah, you saving it, yet you use it. So, yeah, it's just they don't like when it's used against them and they lose. Like somebody called it the scumbag build. Sandbagging, scumbag. I don't know if play on words, but they gonna call it the scumbag build. But then I was looking at their stream and they were using it for like 3 hours straight and stuff. So
damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just people just try to find excuses of why they lost. And they're like, oh, why use the build? Oh, sure. I don't know what's boring about fighting for items, having to like race your ass off to make an epic comeback for the finish line. I don't know what's boring about that. You know what is boring? Being ahead 10 million miles with no adversity.
Yeah.
We played Disney Speedstorm, whenever there's a race and it's unbalanced and you're like 10 miles ahead, that's boring.
That is boring.
So when people say boring, I'm like, what's boring about it? Exactly. They just talking. But it's just people trying to police play styles. Like I said, here's the thing. They might crap on you smuggling with that build, but when they're smuggling with the zigzag build, there's no issue. Like, yeah, you have a different build, but you're still smuggling.
Yeah.
So it's not smuggling, that's the problem. It's just people trying to police play styles and what builds can be used or not.
That is true.
And people don't it's a lot of variety and people just got to realize like there's counters to everything.
That is true. And that's another video I'm going to talk about in the future, like builds that counter other builds. But I remember you said something very specific and it stuck with me. You said during the tournament you realized there was 2 different kind of builds, or maybe there was a multitude of different builds. Obviously there's 200 contestants, there's going to be variants and variables of different builds or whatever the case is, or they're derivative of another build. But I would say the one thing that you said that stuck out to me was that there were builds that were cannibalizing other builds, and once they realized you and Absent had the key to success, you said people started copying your builds and were finding success. And because of that, it got to the point where when you guys got to the finals, a lot of people were cannibalizing each other for pole positions because the build was so strong. Can you talk about that with me?
Yeah, because when it was just me, like when I was in my rounds and I was doing the smuggling and nobody else was, I was getting first place. I was winning the rounds and stuff. But then I think towards the quarterfinals to the semifinals, maybe the smugglers got put in the same lobby or no, but then there were some people who weren't smuggling and they were trying to smuggle. But what ended up happening is we ended up cannibalizing each other, because there was the people who were doing the zigzag snaking, like the front runners, and then there were the smugglers. But the thing about smuggling, you want to get like a lower position to get better items. So you had a whole bunch of people braking or slowing down. So you had like 6 people trying to break and get behind each other so they could get the better items. And while the 6 people were breaking, trying to get the items, the zigzaggers or snakers were just pulling away. And then when we did get our items, they were so far ahead that it didn't matter if we had a drill. The drill can only take you so far. So it ended up backfiring against smugglers and stuff. So, if you even look at the rounds and stuff, like the smugglers will win a lobby, winning lobbies, and all of a sudden in the last few rounds, all of the smugglers got the lower positions because they ended up working against each other. So there's a limit to smuggle. Only if too many people try to smuggle in a lobby, it's gonna backfire.
How many?
And with so many builds.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna ask. At what point you think it's too many smugglers in a lobby?
If there's more than 4, you could. There can't be more than 4.
Why do you say that?
And that's literally because of positioning. I'm not gonna give away too much game because I use certain strategies, but more than 4 people, you're not gonna you literally won't get the items you want to get if it's more than 4 people trying to smuggle.
I remember we used to take a lot of value from the open network test saying, rings matter. But at this point, I don't even think rings really matter. How do you feel
They
about that?
do, but they definitely matter, but having 200 rings doesn't matter. So
Yes.
like in Mario Kart, like there's like 20 coins, and I think it used to be 10, but they added 10 more for 20. And if you get 20 coins, you get more speed. But in Sonic Crossroad, it doesn't work that way. Getting 200 coins just means, because you lose coins whenever you get hit, and having 200 coins just means you maintain your coins. Because basically, top speed is 100 coins. Now, if you have 99 coins, you're literally 7 miles an hour slower. So maintaining 100 coins at all time is good because you maintain your top speed possible. So that's why 200 and 130 is important, because it allows you to get hit and still maintain your top speed.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you don't get any extra speed.
I know there's a lot of people that like to make bully builds, as Absent would say, to try to get rings and stuff like that. So they work the power, either the power characters or the power cards. And they have things like collision boost, or, you know, mini ring thief or ring thief, things of that nature to kind of like bully up on the field. And that's either to A, you know, put everyone else at a disadvantage because now you have less rings, so you're at less, you're lower than the top speed, or B, you put yourself at the top speed because you're collecting rings. So that is definitely one build I see a lot of people utilizing in terms of rank play. And, you know, I think Absent was one of the first to coin that build, because ain't no one really trying to bully people their way to the top like that. You know, Absent doesn't mind it. Everyone else was just thinking, okay, can I smuggle? Can I zigzag? But what I noticed from the open network test, because that was my experience until now when the game fully released, was I noticed a lot of people on the ranked leaderboards would have some variation or some resemblance of the same build from the top 10 players, and then, you know, from 11 to 100 it would be similar builds to what the top 10 players have. And that was just in an open network test. And moving on to like the actual release of the game, it's moved over. It's the same thing. Like you see the first 10 people on the ranked leaderboards have similar builds, and then 11 through 100 will have a variation of that build. Talk to me about that. What do you think is going on in terms of competitors when they're coming up with builds and they're looking at the ranked leaderboards?
I think it's just something where people see who's number one on the leaderboard. With the open network test, it was sneaky.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, he seems to be number one. He's the best player because he's number one. So let's copy his build. Now, that isn't necessary. He's definitely good. He's a top player, but is he like the number one player? I don't know about that. But because he was put in the most time and consistently winning to where he was number one on the leaderboard, people thought it was the build. So they were like, oh, okay, air trick and quick drift. All right. And then, you know, they were copying that, thinking they were going to get the same results. But I think as the game came out and how it's shifted is, like I said, with the tournaments, and I think with people finding better builds, I think, and then making videos on that, I think people who watch those videos, or people who, you know, continue to look at the leaderboard and see what the top players are doing, ended up switching. And I think what ended up happening is there was another person, Callie Mac and Cheese, who ended up being the number one player and surpassing Sneaky.
Yeah.
So then people went from going the Sneaky's build to copying Callie Mac and Cheese's build with the so it's just people looking at content creators, seeing what works for them.
Yeah.
And replicating it.
I think a lot that goes into these builds that people don't realize is other players' play styles. So just because Sneaky comes up with a build and is finding him a lot of success doesn't mean you'll find the same success, because maybe Sneaky came up with that build because it enhances his strengths as a racer on the field, as opposed to let me just put all these gadgets together because, you know, I'm getting a lot of wins.
Right.
So when people try these builds now and they're like not succeeding at the game, it's like, well, you use air trick. You find yourself trying to get a lot of air. If the answer is no, then air trick is kind of useless for you. Granted,
especially
go ahead.
Air trick's not bad, but there are so many tracks here where you don't even ramp that much.
Yeah.
So like getting more drifts, it's more important on certain tracks.
Exactly. So a lot of people got to realize when they're making builds and they're copying other players' builds because they're trying to find success, you gotta have to kind of make it make sense for you. Like you'll see a gadget like air trick, as we just explained. Is air trick gonna benefit you, or is that because you're copying the build? So a lot of people gotta start, experimenting and kind of tailoring builds to their skills, or maybe to suppress their weaknesses on the field. That's one way you guys
so the
can
game
look at
gives
it.
you a lot of tools for people to make builds that suit their play style.
Yeah,
And there is no right or wrong. Like somebody might be a play style out there that supreme, but people haven't found it yet because they're too busy copying
yep.
the players who are top 10 or 100 on the leaderboard. There could be a build that's way better. They could have you win in tournaments, but that you using that build, you copying.
I will say, what we know right now, I can definitively say there will never be a meta in this game, and here's why. The game's only been out less than a month, and in that time we've had an event, and the first event was a Hatsune Miku event. From that event, we were able to unlock a new gadget. From that, it tells me that every event that comes on further along in the future, there will be more gadgets to be unlocked. Which then tells me that whatever builds may be viable now may not be as viable in the future, because more gadgets coming into the game means more build variability and viability. So that means whatever is working for today may not work for tomorrow, because the other gadgets that might come to the game may be even better. So
Yes, I think the event that's happening today or tomorrow, the Minecraft event, there's a new power gadget. So,
and there you go. And what have I been saying this entire time about the DLC characters? There is a lot of power DLC characters.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that shit, because I've been rocking power. I think I started speed, but now power.
Yeah, power is very unappreciated, I think. Like if you can tap into it and make the right build around it, it can definitely be viable. I've seen Absent mess around with power, and Absent's been finding success. So if you can make the right build, you can definitely find success. No doubt about that. Another thing I wanted to talk about or address, a lot of people, they're coming from Mario Kart, or they're coming from Speedstorm, or they're coming from Crash Team Racing, or they might be coming from Team Sonic, or like myself, Sonic Racing's All-Stars Transformed. And a lot of people, when this game was first announced, wanted to shit on this game and say, oh, it's not going to compete with Sonic. Oh, it's not going to compete with Speedstorm. It's not going to do any numbers, anything like that. It might not have legs or longevity. Talk to me about it. Like, what's your experience with this game so far compared to the other games in its category?
I think quality-wise, this is the best game. Quality, mechanically, what it called, polish. I think maybe the only game that might have more polish is Mario Kart, but Mario Kart's lacking features. But overall, when it comes to fun, when it comes to competitive, I think this game is better than Mario Kart. And I think a lot of reviewers agree. And now, I'm not basing my opinion off of reviewers, because sometimes reviews can be wrong. They have their own biases. But I think overall, if it comes to a next gen, kart racer with new ideas, I definitely think this is the best one out.
I would agree.
Longevity. If Mario Kart 8 was able to last 10 years with no new content, just people liking it for the love of the game. People gonna be playing this, but not forever, but at least a decade, because the racing is so good. They don't get on this game just to play ranked because it's just fun. That's one of the things. Games should be fun. It's fun to get on and race. I know I like Speedstorm. I played it for 2 years straight, but I think that my issue with Speedstorm is when you get on ranked, it's not fun.
No.
In the ways, it's not fun. The 1v1s aren't fun. Races where somebody's 50 levels ahead of you isn't fun. This game, people complain, that's fun. Being in a race where we feel like every single race is, neck and neck, and you got to make the right move. That's fun.
That is fun.
Way more fun than, being super far apart from each other, or it being 1v1. So I think it definitely got the fun aspect down. It has a lot of content, crossovers they already said that the free content is gonna like basically have all of the Sega Legends and stuff, and then the paid content are the crossovers. So there's SpongeBob, Ninja Turtle. That like it's so many crossovers.
Yep.
That are like scheduled out towards the end of 2026. Like there's so much content that's coming, and with each content, DLC content, you get new tracks.
Yes.
So
I would definitely.
so that's also going to add more to the game, you know.
Yeah.
So new characters, new tracks, new gadgets,
new music.
Meta,
music
new
is fire. We'll get to that in a moment.
Music is fire. The fact that you can customize, you can unlock music by doing the time trials, and then you can, whatever music you unlock, you can put on your jukebox and have it play on certain laps.
Yes, sir.
But like you can it's just so many things. This is definitely a really good game. It was funny. I was actually on Speedstorm today, and I saw they had an offer. It was like, oh, unlock Steamboat Mickey for $99.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What?
I'm just like, yeah, that's insane.
$99 to unlock a single character when there's over 100 characters. Mind you, Speedstorm just came out with a post saying we finally hit over 100 characters in the game. Which collection is your favorite, or whatever the case was. So the fact that they're telling you can unlock a single character out of 100 plus for $99 is insane. So you're telling me you want people to spend over $1,000 on characters?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think people quote. Like, they say, oh, the DLC is too expensive. So you mean a DLC that's $88, $89, you know, after tax, $90 for a whole full game experience with time trials and Grand Prix and DLC and new characters and new courses for a whole year. You get the full experience and early access. You get all of that deluxe edition for $90. Meanwhile, on Speedstorm, you paying $99 to get 10 shards for one character.
That's crazy.
Insane. Now, you know, to be, you know, not to be intellectually dishonest, the chain off is for Steamboat Mickey, but now I guess you get like 10 shards for like 7 other characters or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's still not worth $99 just to unlock a character.
Definitely not. I remember a time ago in Speedstorm, you could actually unlock characters like Steamboat Mickey with tokens. Ask me why you can't now.
Crazy. Yeah, I remember. Now I will say, this is a situation where this is a better product, but I think more people could end up playing Speedstorm or Mario. Now, when it comes to Speedstorm, because it's free, quote unquote free.
Yes.
You know, people don't. It's that, you know, there's a lot of people who don't pay for games, and they play Fortnite.
Yep.
They play all the free to play games basically.
Yep. Fortnite,
and,
Warzone.
you know, Speedstorm happens. Yeah, to be, you know, in that system. Now you end up having to pay once you get in, but you know, there are some people who, you know, the numbers could be higher off of that. And then Mario Kart has over 30 years worth of history.
Yep.
And stuff. And you know, it was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the best selling game on the Switch. So people were really anticipating the next Mario Kart game. I mean, a lot of people bought a Switch too because of Mario Kart. So Mario Kart obviously, you know, probably end up selling well. I think because Team Sonic Racing didn't do good, it left the bad taste in the consumer's mouth. So there are some people who
were hesitant,
you know, won't rush to get a Sonic Racing game because the last one was mid. But I think this game is definitely the best product, and I think the word is getting out. But you know, I think what'll end up happening is once this game gets on sale, it's really gonna go crazy. Like now, I think it's worth full price.
I think
the
so
value
too.
it adds.
I did buy it full price, and I bought the deluxe, and I was in early access. So that just goes to show this was a great game that Sega made here.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of people who maybe are, you know, iffy on funds or don't believe that they should pay, you know, full price on a racing game. once this game gets on sale, they gonna get. There's a lot of people who are watching, just waiting for it to go on sale so they can play. So, I think the longevity for this game is definitely gonna be. But yeah,
I believe so myself.
kind of my thoughts on it.
I definitely don't want to wait to get in, especially after I played the open network test and I realized there was so much potential to be had with this game. If I know a game is great because I played the beta, why am I going to wait for a sale? I'm going to give them my money. Why? Because they did a great job. The fact that I had more fun with a beta than an actual full released game tells you everything you need to know about this game. And I know we briefly talked about some mechanics and tech. I want to go into that. So, we played an extensive library of racers. And in terms of the kart racers, the Mario Karts, the Disney Speedstorms, and now the Crossworlds, which of the 3 games do you think have the best mechanics and features?
Mechanically, features, I would say Crossworlds. Here's the thing, like, one thing I think it does better with its items, it allows certain mechanics for you to dodge a lot of the items that affect the person at first. Like in Mario Kart, one thing I hate about Mario Kart is the lightning. Lightning, it basically stuns everybody in the lobby and it takes their items, and there's literally no indication. It just happens instantly.
Just like the slime and Crossroads.
Yes, like the slime, but the what makes the slime more manageable is the slime one. It has a ring that hovers over you, so you get an indication that it's coming. So then you can use your protection items, or you can use a monster truck, or you can use a mushroom or a wisp to dodge it. It gives you so many different options in order to dodge some of these items that Mario Kart just doesn't. You have to Mario Kart is literally just based off of feeling and anticipation. Oh, well, I could see somebody using the lightning here, so let me use star power, but you could guess wrong. But in this one, you see it and then you can adjust to it. And I like that. I like that it gives you a lot of tools in order to dodge things. I mean, even with the King Boom 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 in this game, which is this game's version of the blue shell, you can dodge it just like you can dodge the blue shell. If you boost at the specific time, you can boost past it. So it's a lot of tech that you can do in this game. There's, like I said, there's Z drifting, you can dodge items, you can boost, get the level 4, and you can kind of time it to where if you're about to get hit, you activate your level 4 drift at specific times. There's definitely a skill gap. Now, I will say Mario Kart also has a skill gap because it added some wall riding and you can jump. But my thing with it is they made the jumping weird in Mario Kart. They made it to where you have to charge it, and the same button you use to drift, the same button you use to charge. A lot of times you end up accidentally drifting instead of jumping. And then on top of that, at the end of the day, a lot of the tech in Mario Kart is slow. So you don't gain as much of an advantage as you think you would. Wall riding and stuff is slower. Jumping, when you're charging jump, it's slower. You would think these techs in Mario Kart would benefit you, but a lot of times kind of set you back. Now,
so would you say these techs that they added to the game that weren't in previous installments in the series are more kind of gimmicky techs? They look cool, they might sometimes help you, but in terms of the grand scheme of things in competitive play, they're kind of holding you back? Are they just there for eye candy, would you say?
It's not as useful. Now, it's more maybe some time trial. That stuff is clutch because you're jumping off trees and stuff. But it's just it's like they nerfed it a little too much. They didn't want it to be too strong. So, but I think now I will say Speedstorm probably is the easiest game that you can jump. You just hit the square button and you jump.
Yeah.
And it has side bashing, so it's definitely different.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of just pure racing, I think this game got it.
What would you say that Sonic Racing Crossworlds has done to separate itself from its I would guess its contemporaries like Speedstorm or Mario Kart?
With Speedstorm, just not freaking charging for everything. I think just an example, customization in Speedstorm. You had to like spend shards, which is like 900 shards is like $9, and like there's a lot of cosmetics you had to spend 900 shards, 500 shards, so $5 to $10 just to unlock the color blue, or just to unlock, you know, a racing stripe on your vehicle. Where this game gives you so many different customizable options for your vehicle for free. They're not charging you to turn your car gold, to get the lightning on your, like, special effects or horns. Like, the fact that literally it's doing better than the Speedstorm just on that alone, the way they monetize. The fact that they're not charging to unlock, you know, base characters, to unlock base skin, the base cosmetics. The fact that all of that is free and you can get it within game makes it better.
I would agree.
Now, yeah, you know, I don't, like I said, I'm not really shitting on Speedstorm too much. I think so. That's one bad with Speedstorm. The other bad, the items tracking is terrible in Speedstorm.
Yes.
Like, they have their variation of a red shell, which is a disc, and the disc can't even home on like somebody in front of it. Sometimes it will go around them or past them. Like, I would say Disney Speedstorm literally is the worst game or racing game of all time when it comes to homing items.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I've never, even games on the PlayStation 1 that were kart racers had better homing items than Speedstorm. Like, Speedstorm's homing items are terrible, and their vents don't work properly. Their vents are unoptimized.
Yeah.
The fact that that's bad level design, bad track design, where
a lot of tracks suffer from that.
Yep. You put a vent, and you just take the vent like you're just racing normally, you hit a vent, you're gonna crash into a wall.
Or
you crash into
a skybox.
Yeah, that's not good design. So,
or invisible walls on hills on tracks, like that's crazy.
Yeah, and Crossworlds, you know, has these things that probably needs to refine. It's not too much, but just on those things I mentioned, the monetization, the homing items, and, you know, the air vents, I think Crossworlds just does it. Those mistakes are not in Crossworlds, I'll say that.
I will also add to that, with Speedstorm, some of the items don't even work as intended, or some unique abilities don't even work at all.
Oh yeah, like passive, that is true.
Yep. Which for me, that's very okay. I wouldn't even say very anything. For me, that's just not okay, because you release a new character. Some of these characters you paid for, mind you, because they're in the Golden Pass, which is a season pass for the game, and they'll tell you a character might release and it has a passive. The passive doesn't work. It'll tell you the character has this in its ability, like a secondary part of its ability. It doesn't work, like Tia Dalma, and it just got patched recently. Now it works, but that season came out in the summer of last year. So it took them a good year to make sure that the ability works now. Like, what are we doing? And you got characters like Donald Duck where his unique doesn't even work as intended. So with all that going on, it's hard to say that this game is polished, because it's far from it. There's a lot of things going wrong with the game, but, you know, we would look past it because we were having fun. But now that, you know, the rose-colored glasses are off, we're seeing the game for what it is. It's now, it's just less than.
I think that's overall, like, Speedstorm is fun, and it can be fun, and it has some has a lot of good things about it. I think the one word that describes Speedstorm is just unpolished. It almost feels like we're just beta testers for the game,
which is crazy, because we were beta testers in the beginning. And we're still
so they were charging people to be beta testers.
What they didn't tell the community was that we're still beta testing.
yeah, they think, mobile came out, so it's a full game. No, we still testing now. Maybe full game, because there's definitely some things they fixed, but the main things that have been plaguing this game mechanically still aren't fixed. Yeah. So we're still in beta, but no, it just seems like a perpetual, eternal state of beta. That's kind of how the game, it never feels fully finished.
Yeah.
Or optimized. That's how it speaks. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's my Speedstorm. I don't know if you want me to compare it to another one, but yeah, you about to say something.
No, I was gonna say, moving on from that, I don't know if you wanted to compare it to Mario Kart or anything, but I was just gonna say, in terms of like feature-rich content, like we can talk about these private lobbies, because I am very impressed with the private lobbies. Yeah, there's some things that they can address and tweak and make things better, but from what we got from them right now, I'm impressed. Like, I don't really see private lobbies and racers this detailed. So the fact that it was this detailed and we're still kind of complaining is kind of like, okay, we need to chill, because we don't normally get blessed this way in terms of kart racers.
To be completely fair and balanced and honest, we were criticizing speed, so I think Sonic Crossworlds, as detailed and good as the private lobbies are, there are some flaws. One, the connection issues are pretty bad, especially with like crossplay. There's like times where people try to get in and they can't because I'm getting timed out.
Yeah,
but they do need to fix that. They also need to allow us to do supersonic speed in private lobbies. I don't see why that's locked. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you're creating your own private lobby, you should be able to access that speed. It should just like you can turn on or off different items and different tracks and different. You should be able to adjust your speed, and then you also should be able to turn on or off friendly fire. I think it's on default.
Yeah,
but, those are basically three things that they could improve. Oh, and spectate. Like I know we get on Speedstorm about they had to spectate. So when we do tournament stuff, we can like watch matches. Yeah, there is no spectating mode in Sonic Crossworlds private lobby. So it's great. It's definitely good, but it's it's not perfect.
Nope. But I will say it's a great start, because with a lot of other games we don't even have these options. So the fact that they gave us a whole slew of things that we can mess around and play with in private lobbies. Is very appreciative, and I won't take it for granted, because like I said, not every game has this. So definitely a plus. Well, as Caleb did say, they can improve in some areas, which I will agree on.
And I think Mario Kart, to give Mario Kart its credit, I think Mario Kart's always had like customization features. Now, one thing I will say that Mario Kart does better, it has a replay. I think having a replay option is going to be dope, but doesn't have that.
Yes.
So I think where Mario Kart succeeds and does better is it's a replay function.
So we did briefly touch upon music. Want to see if we can go more in depth with that. So as you did mention earlier, you can unlock different sounds and tracks from the Grand Prix and time trials. That is cool. When you go back into the background music, or you go into the settings to go into the soundtrack, you'll see all the different soundtracks or different albums from different games sometimes too, or the game itself. When you go into these albums, you can then select your favorites. From the favorites pool, you go into there's 3 different options you can select for lap 1, lap 2, and then the final lap. And you can kind of mix which songs you want in there from the favorites to play in those 3 slots. So talk about that briefly, and what do you find so great about this feature in terms of the soundtrack and what you can hear racing?
I think it's great because if you wanna just listen to the bass music, you can do that. But a certain song from a certain game that you really vibe with, you can put it on a certain lap to get you in the mood. Like for me, there are some songs that I really like that are fast and upbeat. Yeah. And I have the default music on lap 1 and 2, but I have the hype music for lap 3.
Yep.
Just because it gives me that sense of urgency and stuff. So I really like that you can customize the music for the lap, for things like that, set the vibe. But there is a downside to the music. It's good we have it, but the issue with it is it would be nice if I could play a song and it plays throughout lap 1 to lap 3 without it cutting off. Because what ends up happening is whenever you go through a crossworld, it shuts off the music.
Yes.
And goes to another song. it would be nice if one song could play throughout the whole race.
which is probably the one drawback, but I haven't seen a game do that, or a kart racer do that, where you can select your track. That's kind of crazy.
Yes, it's essentially like going to a 5-star restaurant and be like, oh man, these chairs are uncomfortable, but the fact that we even have the music, I think it's good, because what other kart racing game is letting you have your own jukebox? So, obviously, there's criticism, but the fact that we have it in general is just a W.
For me, what I found very surprising and shocking was, obviously every track has its own song, and the third lap they have a variant of the song. When I saw that the Crossworlds had these final lap tracks too, and I was plugged into some of these, I was like, hold up.
Oh yeah,
this is crazy. This is fire.
And you find where you hear those songs, you don't hear it in places, but when you time trial, because when you time trial, you go through 3 laps, and then you hear the final lap version of the Crossword, the time trials, and I have a lot of the final laps as my go-to level lap 3 music, because some of it's good.
Some of it's just crazy. I was jamming out to. How I've always been saying on stream that Cyberspace is my favorite track because I like the music. When I heard the final lap variant to that, I was like, damn, y'all took it to a whole nother level with this. I couldn't. That is definitely my favorite jam right there. I got it in my favorites. It plays for me. I got Kronos Island in there. I could not have Kronos Island in there. That is a bop. Even the intro's a bop. Everything about Kronos is a bop. They did well with the music, and the music fits well with the theme of the game. It fits well with these tracks. Like, whoever, I'm not sure, sorry, I don't know your name, but whoever came up with the music or the soundtrack for this game, W composer. Gotta say that.
Bro, we gotta, yeah, that music definitely. But Sonic's always been known for good music, so they definitely.
Yes, they have. Living in the city. I think that was from Sonic R when we did the tournament. Yeah, I remember that one. that one was a bop. Sonic usually does have good songs, and I remember I think Angel did say that Michael Jackson actually composed or did one of the soundtracks for one of the games. I can't remember.
That is Sonic and Knuckles or Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Yeah, Michael Jackson worked on the song.
That is crazy. So Sonic has a extensive history of having great music in their games. Not all of them might have been bangers in terms of the games, but the music definitely top tier. So with the tournament behind you now, and the competitive scene starting to show up in Sonic Racing Crossworlds, what do you think is gonna be the future of this game in terms of competitive scene or rank play? Because I know the last tournament that just happened that Dallas hosted, SV won it. I did race against him 2 nights ago, as I was telling you. I hopped on the game. SV won the tournament. A lot of people think Sneaky or Cali Mac and Cheese or Bros Clan is the best player in this game. Do you think with the competitive scene starting to show its face and blow up in this game, a lot of people are gonna have different opinions on who's the best in this game?
Yeah, long story short, Sega needs to make their own. Just like I think Nintendo's done a Mario Kart tournament. Now they'll earn the prizes on crap, a $10 gift card. But it's something. But I think if Sega were to have land, in person, kind of like how they do for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And they were to have a tournament. Oh yeah, dude, that'd be crazy. That'd be insane.
Shout out to
that's something
S7,
Speedstorm will never do.
Because
S7.
He's won the first tournament so far. I also want to give a shout out to my boy CalebBlackFlash. He was in the final with S7. He might not have won, but he won some money. I did say he should split it with me, but he won that. He earned that.
Top 10 in the world.
Yes,
not just leaderboard.
He can claim that he was in the top. He finished out of 12 racers 10th, so he can claim that he's top 10 in the world, both in the leaderboards in the game and in the competitive scene. So he definitely top 10. And I've been hearing your name across the pond a lot from what I've been hearing on the grapevine, that your name's being echoed right now in the community.
Yeah, because I smuggle better than anybody else, and people, you know, can't stand smuggling because they get beat by it. But like I said, there's a lot of people who try and imitate, but they can't do the same results. Now, there's all just as good with me, or they have a different smuggling build. But with my specific build, I made it so popular that now you got a lot of people, and so now there's a segment of the player base that, you know, smuggling. I think I have a part in that because when everybody was running the sneaky build, I was, you know, smuggling. And then people realized, yo, he actually had it's working. Let me try it. And then, you know, the rest is history.
You're the pioneer, man.
Yeah. But I don't know if I get credit for it, because that's the thing, you know, people, I haven't really put out like, oh, a build tier list, because I'm not build tier list, a build guide, because some of these builds I'm trying to use for tournaments and for money. So I'm not trying to just let all the sauce get out. But, you know, there's some people, they'll watch or they'll take the build and act like they're the originator.
Yeah.
Like, nah. Cause I would, yeah, so. Because to be fair, like this build I got, it was just something that, you know, I saw my boy Absent was doing. And then, you know, I was like, okay, let me try it out. And let me see if I can perfect the play style.
But, shout out to Absent. Because Absent be doing his thing, man.
Yeah, so. But then when I saw Absent using, I'm like, oh, eventually I'm gonna try out that build because I see the potential. But let me.
Yeah. I remember, I think Absent first coined it back in the open network test because he was messing around with the inventory one where you can swap gadgets and stuff like that. He was messing a lot around with the garage and the gadgets. Even though gadgets were limited back then, but he was definitely doing his thing with the smuggling. Before I ask you what you give it a rating out of 10, I wanted to say you touched up on speed. We didn't even talk about that. I just briefly want to talk about the sense of speed in this game compared to other races. What do you think about it?
I think the sense of speed is good when you put on dynamic camera. Not that when you don't have it on, you don't get speed, but I think the dynamic camera with the angles really make it feel like you're going fast.
Yeah.
The level design, there's like elevation. We get on the boats or the planes, but the boats and planes, and you know, you definitely feel like you're going fast. The camera is close. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think there was that dream things that makes that game feel slow is the camera. It's just too far.
Yeah.
It's too far from the racer, so you kind of don't feel that sense of speed. But in this game, it's perfect. The way they use the camera. And then on top of that, when you are maxed out, you do go fast. You know, there's slipstream, the increase the speed. I think, and one thing that's interesting, you can reach supersonic speeds on Sonic speed if you play it right. Because I think it stacks. So basically, the way this game works, like there's the boost, and if you use two boosts at the same time, it stacks. And then if you use boost, slipstream, and like the boost pads, like every single boost that is different stacks within each other, so you can end up getting some really good speed. The game does definitely, I think, because the level design, it's not just a bunch of like long straightaways. It's a bunch of turns, it's a bunch of like tight, precision, maps. So when you're going the speed you're going on these maps, it definitely feels like you're covering distance.
It does.
I think that's where Mario Kart fails, is because the tracks are so long and straights that sometimes it feels like you're not going that fast. But this game doesn't have that issue.
No, it doesn't. You can definitely feel the sense of speed. Every item that gives you speed feels fast, and it feels like it's additive to what you're like the speed you're going to. So I never feel like I'm going slow unless I'm stunned.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Oh, you gotta be kidding. That's a good point. The items that you do make you go fast or make you feel fast, because like in Mario Kart, there's the bullet bill.
Yeah.
I think the drill feels faster. When we use the
does.
drill, I think it goes 300. Yeah, you take off. I think in Mario Kart, the bullet bill in Mario Kart 1, and it sometimes it feels like you're not going that fast with the bullet bill. On top of that, this game has like the wisp, the laser,
the All Might. That's what I call it.
Yeah, the All Might, or the instantly zigzag, like speeds
Yeah.
ahead, so that feels fast. And then on top of that, they have a warp ring, which is kind of like a clock in Speedstorm, but
Yep.
they kind of disabled it, so that's why people haven't seen it a lot. But that's actually another thing that goes fast. So there's, you get the triple boost, and the third boost is unique, that it's
Yep.
stronger than the other boost. And so I think the combination of the items and course design and the camera angles definitely make this feel fast. Now, I will say one thing about Speedstorm: when you max out level 50, that mug is fast.
It is.
You definitely are moving compared to the environment, but you got to pay for that speed. That's the downside. So
That is true.
just to keep it a buck, I'll give Speedstorm its credit. It definitely fast in that game, but it's at a cost.
So since we, I guess, covered the last aspect, which was the sense of speed, what would you rate this game out of 10? I know you said this is the best kart racer of all time or in existence, but what would you still rate this game out of 10?
9.
That's a good score. I'm definitely in agreement with you. I would say this is a 9 out of 10 just because some of the things we did touch upon, are things that would actually give points to making this a perfect 10. And there's a lot of kart races that we played back in the day: Double Dash, 8 Deluxe, All Stars Transform, Crash Team Racing,
Yeah.
Speedstorm when it was good.
Wait, Excite Boss. I always gotta put this out. Don't best kart racer, arcade racer, whatever you want to call it, and it did not sell because it's not Mario. But Nintendo was cooking with the Excite series, the Excite Bots. But yeah.
Even Diddy Kong Racing, if those of you who remember, like, there's been a lot of kart racers and I hold them dear and near to me, but if I had to be honest, with everything I've played till this date, this is just the best. I've never felt this way about any kart racer since All Stars Transformed, and that was like a decade ago, and I haven't really touched anything that was that good since till this game. And honestly, Sega kind of wrote their wrong, or kind of showed everyone which racer was the best, because I remember at the time I think it was 8 Deluxe and All Stars Transform going neck and neck, but everyone said no, it was Mario Kart, that's the better game. But rightfully so, those of you who are convinced like myself, it was All Stars Transform, but because Mario had the numbers, our voice was drowned. But now with this game coming out, it's kind of like wrote that wrong and proved everyone wrong. Like, no, this is actually the better racer. And they're back in form after that drought with, Team Sonic Racing. So I'm glad, Sega has bounced back and found form, especially after, talking big with those commercials dissing Mario Kart. So I'm glad.
I just want to say, even if this game doesn't sell as well as Mario Kart, the fact that it's good means that in the future, if they ever come out with a sequel to Sonic Cross Worlds, people will be like, yo, the last Sonic racing game was good.
Yep.
So I know this one's gonna be fire. So building up a good reputation matters. That's why Mario Kart or Mario is the franchise it is, because it's had good games in the past. So people are like, oh, there's a new one. I'm excited for see how they did it better. So I think this is a great foundation for the future.
So as I said earlier, appreciate my guy for showing out today. And make sure you're plugged in and you follow CalebBlackFlash on YouTube. I will have his channels and details in the description, so make sure you check that out. You already know where to find me on Twitch and YouTube, but if you need to know, it'll be in the description. And for more content, stay tuned, because like I said to you guys, I promise you guys more Sonic Racing Crossroads content. This is just the beginning. And without further ado, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one.